Courtrooms are supposed to be calm, controlled, almost boring. Until someone hears a number they don't like or the word guilty, and all that control just snaps. Today, we're counting down 10 real courtroom freakouts caught on camera, from collapsing defendants to full-on brawls in front of the judge. Number 1 is one of the most dramatic verdict reactions ever recorded. This countdown only gets more intense the closer we get to number 1.
10.
It starts like a normal sentencing. 17-year-old Lance Dyer stands in an Ohio courtroom as the judge reminds him how serious it is to point a gun at a police officer. Dyer was just 16 during a chase in a stolen car, bailed out, and allegedly aimed a loaded weapon at an officer before being shot in the hand. The judge tells him he's lucky to be alive, and then drops the sentence: 11 years in prison. The room doesn't stay calm for long. Off camera, his sister erupts, shouting, arguing, and has to be physically escorted out of the courtroom. Deputies drag her away while the judge keeps speaking like this is just another case. His mother insists she doesn't believe he pointed a gun at police at all. What do you think? Fair sentence or too much for a 17-year-old?
9.
In Butte, Montana, James Wasson walks into court already angry. A few days earlier, the judge had rejected a plea bargain that would have cut his sentence, and his frustration has been simmering ever since. Now, during sentencing, that frustration finally boils over. As it becomes clear he's not getting the deal he wanted, Wasson loses control. He curses at the judge, raises his voice, and continues the same attitude that once led him to kick down the courtroom podium in an earlier appearance. The footage shows a man who doesn't just disagree with the system, he's at war with it. If you were standing in front of a judge deciding your future, would you speak your mind or stay quiet and take the time?
8.
In Wisconsin, accused killer Taylor Shabishness sits quietly next to her attorney during what should be a routine hearing. The judge agrees to delay her trial, and for a moment, the room feels almost calm. Then, out of nowhere, the calm is gone. Shabishness suddenly whips around and launches herself at her own lawyer, forcing him back in his chair. Deputies rush in, wrestling her to the ground as the attorney tries to collect himself. The entire attack happens in seconds, but it completely changes the energy in the courtroom. You expect tension between the defense and prosecution, not the defense and their own client. Do you think this was pure impulse or something she wanted people to see?
7.
Some reactions aren't about sentences, they're about loss. In a Cincinnati courtroom, Deshaun Brown stands accused of murdering his girlfriend, Nytisha Latmore, and putting her 3-year-old son, Nilo Lyon, into the Ohio River. Nilo's father, Antonio Hughes, sits in the gallery, listening to every word. Then, something in him snaps. In a split second, Hughes charges forward, leaping at Brown and punching him repeatedly before deputies can pull him away. Even after they drag him back, he tries to break free and go at Brown again. The courtroom becomes a struggle between raw grief and the rules of the court. Hughes is held in contempt and given 7 days in jail. If that were your child, would you have been able to sit still?
6.
In Cleveland, Ohio, Tony Farmer walks into court as one of the top high school basketball recruits in the country. Colleges want him, coaches believe in him, but he's here to be sentenced for assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Andrea Lane. The judge describes the video: Lane cowering in a corner, Farmer striking her. Then she announces the sentence: 3 years in prison. Farmer's reaction is pure shock. He first looks stunned, then his body gives up. He collapses to the floor, disappearing from view as people rush to help him stand. Even more striking, his victim tells the court she doesn't think he belongs in prison, and his coach begs for another chance for him. Do you think the judge was right to focus on the crime, not the potential career?
5.
In Youngstown, Ohio, Dale Williams, 62, waits to be sentenced for murdering Elizabeth Pledger Stewart. Her children have come to speak, to tell the court what her loss really means. Elizabeth's daughter stands to give her victim impact statement. She barely starts before one of her brothers sprints across the courtroom, leaping at Williams and attacking him. A second brother joins in, and suddenly the quiet courtroom turns into a chaotic struggle. Deputies wrestle them away. One brother even has to be tased to stop the attack. It's one of those moments where grief and rage override everything else. If you lost a parent like that, could you stand a few feet from the killer and just read from a piece of paper?
4.
Seeing a defendant dragged out of court is one thing. Seeing a former judge dragged out is something else entirely. In Cincinnati, Tracy Hunter, once a juvenile court judge herself, stands to learn her fate. She's been convicted of mishandling a confidential document to help her brother keep his job, and after long appeals, the judge orders her to serve 6 months in jail. Her supporters erupt, shouting and protesting. Hunter refuses to walk out on her own. Deputies step in, grab her, and the cameras capture an unforgettable image. A former judge being dragged out of the courtroom, her body resisting, her feet sliding across the floor. Is this the system proving that no one is above the law? Or does it feel like a fall of grace taken one step too far?
3.
In Lake County, Ohio, Manson Bryant has been here before. Judge Eugene Lucci knows his record. This is the 4th time Bryant has stood before him as a convicted felon. This time, it's for a violent home invasion and robbery. The judge notes how his crimes have become more serious over time, then announces the sentence: 22 years in prison. At first, Bryant tries to show remorse, then the real reaction hits. He explodes, shouting that the judge never gave him probation, never gave him a deal, accusing the system of never giving him a chance. He paces, rants, and curses, pouring years of anger into a few loud seconds. Judge Lucci listens and adds 6 more, making it 28 total, saying Bryant's outburst proves his remorse was fake and he's still dangerous. Would you have stayed calm to protect your sentence, or would you have snapped too?
2.
In Miami, Penelope Soto stands before the judge on drug charges. She jokes, laughs, and answers her questions with a light tone, like she doesn't quite feel the weight of what's happening. After asking about her money and whether she's used drugs, the judge sets her bond at $5,000. As she walks away, she tosses out an adios and then flips the judge off. The courtroom hears it, the judge sees it, and everything stops. He calls her back, calmly doubles the bond to $10,000. She reacts again, and now it's over. He sentences her to 30 days in county jail for contempt of court. Days later, she returns, apologizes, and eventually completes a program that leads to her charges being dropped. But that one moment lives forever online. Do you think 30 days was a fair lesson, or too harsh for one gesture?
1.
At number 1, one of the most dramatic courtroom reactions ever caught on camera. In a California courtroom, Diana Lovejoy stands trial for a murder-for-hire plot against her ex-husband Greg Mulvilly, who was shot in 2016 but survived. The clerk reads the verdict in a flat, formal voice. The jury finds her guilty of attempted murder and agrees she acted willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, and that she was vicariously armed with a firearm. For a few seconds, Lovejoy just stands there, stiff and silent. Then, in the middle of the courtroom, her body locks up and suddenly collapses to the floor, disappearing from view. As attorneys and deputies rush in, calling for help as the courtroom erupts in confusion. On the record, those cold legal phrases stay the same. On camera, her life effectively breaks in half between not guilty yet and guilty forever. Was this pure shock? Her mind and body finally catching up with what she'd done? Or do you think part of her hoped that collapsing might change something, even if it couldn't? Out of these 10 courtroom freakouts, which one sticks with you the most? Was it the father attacking his son's accused killer? The teen flipping off the judge? Or Diana Lovejoy collapsing at the verdict? Comment the number of the case that shocked you the most, and tell me what you would have done in that moment. If you want more real crime, real footage, and real human reactions under pressure, hit subscribe.